Good start.
Yep.
Okay, BGP, we were talking about the way you have a customer-facing, it's not just websites, customer-facing websites. What else do businesses need a reliable internet connection for? Give me another one. Not browsing. Give me another one. Yes?
Sharing data.
What's that?
Sharing
data. Maybe you've got a remote office and you've got a VPN between them. You've got to have that connection at all times between the two offices. Give me another one, quickly. Jordan, what else would a business use their internet for? What's that? Maybe you're accessing some website someplace else that has freight. You got freight calculations, or you're checking in freight things. Is that what you said, Jordan? Okay. Filling orders. Maybe your order entry system is on a computer at your office, and you've got salespeople, customer service people out on the internet. Pay attention, who are doing these kinds of things. Yes. Just communication in general, and one that comes to mind is email. If you don't have an internet connection, you're not going to be able to email anyone other than people within your own building or within your own network. So BGP is used at times. So we've got Comcast coming in, and Comcast has an outage. How many people have Comcast in here? At home? Just one or two? Okay, a couple? How many have had Comcast go down before, where it wasn't available? Okay? How many have CenturyLink? How many have had CenturyLink go down before? Okay? Now that's amazing to me. I asked how many people had CenturyLink, and about 20% of you raised your hands. And I said, how many have had CenturyLink go down? And 50% of you raised your hands. That didn't make any sense. But whatever. Don't talk. Don't talk. Okay. BGP. Now the way BGP would work is a company would have CenturyLink coming in. They would have Comcast coming in. Now here's the thing. If I want to be able to get to a server on my company network from the internet, I have to be able to get to the same location every time, right? So as we talked about routing, I've got a router that does network address cancellation. So I have a single public IP address for all of those services, but then behind it, I've got 1,000 different individual computer private IP addresses, right? You guys all understand that? Well, that single private IP address is what I publish on a DNS server in the internet to say, I want all email that's destined for HoosierDriving.com to go to this IP address. And that IP address happens to be my #1 internet service provider's IP address. Well, my CenturyLink IP address is going to be different than my Comcast IP address. So if my primary, all my email is going to this primary for CenturyLink, and it goes down, I may have a failover solution over here with Comcast where my users can get out, but it's going to have an entirely different IP address. The way BGP works is you get Comcast and CenturyLink working together, and before it even gets to you, BGP, Board Gateway Protocol, ensures that if one of those connections is down, the other one picks it up and automatically goes to that same IP address. And so companies who are willing to invest a significant amount of money, some are willing to do that, have multiple sources, and it's just not ISPs, it can be wider networks also, have multiple sources that are pointing back to the same range of IP addresses. Okay? Questions? Core BGP, the definition is a core routing protocol basis routing decision on the network path and rules. So, what are you guys doing?
Realistic flows.
Okay, having problems with your computer?
A little bit.
Stay off the porn, then we'll have that problem.
I would never.
Configuring RRAS. What is RRAS? Somebody define RRAS. Dustin.
RRAS? Who am I having?
RRAS, yes.
Doesn't it help create VPN connections?
Doesn't it help what?
Create VPN.
One of the
connections.
functions of RRAS is to create a VPN. Colin.
Isn't it like remote desktop connection to another computer? So
Routing and remote access service allows inbound remote connections, but RRAS, just give me a more generic definition of what RRAS is. Where am I going to see this, Jason? Now, where do I find RRAS? Where is RRAS found? It's a small application. It's found on what? It's part of what? Raise your hand. Yes, Austin. Windows Server, it's also part of your local operating system. I don't know if Windows 10, but Windows 7 for sure, probably Windows 8 if you add it as a feature. RAS can be found in the Windows operating system. So basically any Windows computer could load RAS. Normally you'd find it loaded already on a Windows server, whether it's 2008 R2 or 2012. You'll find it already loaded, maybe not configured. Okay, so RAS is something that's an additional application in Windows Server most of the time. Okay, so RAS. RAS can function just like a regular Cisco router. It can move packets from this network over to this network. It can route those packets. That's one of the functions of RAS. Another function of RAS we already mentioned, it can set up VPN connections. Larry, what is a VPN connection?
VPN connection is
Give me an example of a VPN connection. Jessica. Okay, so paint a picture for me. I'm a business owner, and hey Jessica, I heard that I need to use VPN for my business. What'll it do for me?
So like it'll make a secure connection that's like it can't be accessed by outside parties that you don't want to see.
Okay, what kind of a secure connection? From where to where? Can anyone answer that?
I can.
Yes, Austin.
Okay. Say you're talking to some business partner or someone that is in your business itself, and you don't want someone picking up on this, say they're your competition or someone that really doesn't like you. And so it encrypts the data and keeps them from being able to access it as it goes to the air from place to place.
Okay. Not bad. Be more clear. Keaton, give me an example when you would use VPN. This is critical, guys. You need to understand this. Absolutely critical. Because it's used daily. Yes? To get around your network, because the schools couldn't do it. Now they block that also, VPN traffic. That's one bad use of VPN. Come on, can anyone tell me just a typical scenario where you're using VPN? Cole?
If you're in a business and you're having like a special project going on, but you don't want a whole bunch of people knowing.
Yeah, you guys are using the exception, not the general, not the daily average use. And that's true, you could, absolutely. Yes?
Like you got a work laptop and you gotta have it secured.
Okay, you've to a certain degree, you've redeemed yourself, okay? All right, that's exactly it. You're an employee of a company, you're an administrator of a company, you're a manager of a company, you're just a regular employee of a company, and you've got a laptop computer and you're sitting at home and you want to do work. And the work that you want to do is only sitting on a resource back at the computer. This happens to me daily, multiple times daily. I will establish a VPN connection to whatever network I'm supporting, and yes, that data is encrypted because I'm using a public network. And what public network am I using, Larry?
you are using ISP.
That connects to bigger. Jill, what is my ISP connecting to? What does ISP stand for? Internet Service Provider. I'm connecting to the internet. Okay, so I've got a laptop that's connected to the internet, and I want to get to a very specific place, and I want to make sure that this public network, nobody can sneak in and find the packets that are going back and forth. Even if it's not a secret project, even if it's just day-to-day communications, I don't want them to be able to get my login information. I don't want them to be able to figure out what I'm doing back and forth. You have a question?
Yeah. I think we already covered it, but what are the best ways to establish VPNs?
So Jason's question is, what are the best ways to establish a VPN? I'm not going to answer that yet. I'm going to give you an example of how to establish a VPN. So if you're a company that doesn't have existing VPN technology, but you do have an internet service provider. So you walk into your dad or mom's company, and they're saying, hey, I want to start working from home, right? I've got this internet, it's Comcast or whatever, and I'm doing my thing. I just want to take work home because my business is growing and I need to do that. One way, without spending a ton of money, to configure a VPN is if you've got a Windows server already, storing files on it, storing your QuickBooks application or your accounting program, whatever. If you've got a server already, you already have everything you need to be able to do VPN technology. On that server, you would configure RRAS, okay, to be endpoint for a VPN connection. On your laptop, you've got the Windows operating system, you've got the technology already to be able to connect to a VPN endpoint, like RRAS. Okay, the way you do this, you would configure RRAS the same way that they show you in the book. Configure RRAS behind your firewall, behind your whatever you have, and you're going to configure PPTP, point-to-point tunneling protocol, on that RRAS server. In fact, there's a wizard in RRAS. You right-click on that where it says Server Manager, or I'm sorry, no, it's the next window. You right-click on RRAS, install and configure RRAS, and then it takes you, do you want to do a VPN? Yes, I want to do VPN. So now you're setting up the server that allows you to connect, to dial in or use the internet to come in. You configure RRAS, and then on your local computer, on your laptop computer, you have the client that you need. So any VPN, you've got to have a server component, you've got to have a client component. Okay? On your workstation, you'll use a wizard also. I want to connect to a VPN. I want to connect to an RRAS server. You'll go through the wizard. We'll do this in class. The internet, now the tricky part about this is, if you're going to do this, where are you going to connect? How do you know, you've got one public IP address that your parent's business has. That public IP address very easily could change from time to time, right? Because it's being assigned a public IP address by a DHCP server. So today it could be one public IP address, tomorrow it could be another. Most ISPs have dynamic IP addresses that they assign to. There are a couple different ways of doing that. One, you request from the ISP. I don't want a rotating IP address. I want the same IP address all the time. They'll probably charge you, I think Comcast charges the business an extra $5 per month for a static IP address, or you can get 20. For $20, you can get 5 static IP addresses, which is a little bit of a discount. But you get charged that extra, and they'll tell you what the IP address is, and that's what you have to assign either to the RRAS server, if you're going to use it as a firewall, to your firewall appliance, whatever you're going to do. So one way of doing it is RRAS, okay? Not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is if you have a firewall appliance, like a Sonic Wall, like a Cisco router, one of those. If you have a firewall appliance, most of them will allow you to do the other VPN technology, which is not PPTP, but the other tunneling technology, which is called WUTS. Cole knows it. Anybody else know it? Q. L2TP, layer 2 tunneling protocol. In addition to L2TP, you need to encrypt the data, and you use what encryption protocol to do that? Jordan? What encryption protocol do you use with L2TP? Michael? IPsec. That's the best way. PPTP and MPPE, which are the protocols you use with RRAS to do encryption, is okay, but better technology is L2TP with IPsec because it's harder to decipher. It's harder to steal. Okay? So instead of connecting to a server that's behind your internet connection or your internet whatever, instead you actually connect to the peripheral device that's protecting your network to begin with, which is like a Sonic Wall firewall, a Cisco firewall, Netgear firewall, one of those things. Okay? And I'll show you some examples of that later on in the class. Questions? Okay, I think we are out of time. Now, listen, before you shut your stuff down, Tuesday you will have a quiz, and I'll take a look at the material in the book. You will have a quiz over at least half of this chapter. You will have a quiz on Tuesday. We're not going to study for it, we're not going to prep for it. You need to do it. Second thing is, make sure you have your notes up to date, because I'm going to do an interim check on your notes and I'm going to assign a grade to it. If you've got them, great. If not, you're in trouble. Do the exit surveys. Only a third of you did the exit survey this last time. Do the exit survey. Have a good day, stay sober, drive safe, have a good weekend. What'd you say, Austin?